las personas con electrohipersensibilidad, se dijo que parecía una psicosis de los medios de comunicación, podía parecer como algo psicótico, pero lo que se respondió a esto fue que podíamos probar que con ratas pasaba lo mismo, y las ratas no leen periódicos, ratones de laboratorio, no leen periódicos, no ven la televisión, no están afectados por los medios de comunicación, y en cambio les pasa exactamente lo mismo que a las personas que tienen electrohipersensibilidad.
Some very short descriptions here. Many people with electrohypersensitivity seems to have tinnitus, this ringing sensation in the auditory system. Again, something that has really increased dramatically in Sweden, and scientists like myself and others have shown an association between these different gadgets. I have collaborated with people in other countries, like in Japan, and in Japan, people with electrohypersensitivity have the same problems as in Spain or in Sweden or wherever. So they need our support. And also, I have collaborated with people in Finland, and we have tried to use shielding protection, and that works very well for people with electrohypersensitivity. If you take away all the electromagnetic fields, then suddenly they could function and work, and everyone is very happy with that.
Las personas con electrohipersensibilidad parecen tienen también un problema que se llama tinnitus, que es un problema del oído, y parece, o sea que está relacionado también con esta sensibilidad a los campos magnéticos. El doctor Johansson ha colaborado con otros científicos de otros países, por ejemplo Japón, en el que él ha visto que estas personas tienen los mismos problemas que pueden tener en España, Suecia, otros países, o sea que también necesitan su ayuda. También ha colaborado con científicos en Finlandia, y en Finlandia usan refugios, sitios en los cuales no entra ninguna onda electromagnética, y esto sí que ayuda a las personas que tienen hipersensibilidad electromagnética.
At the same time, I don't want to live in a society where we first buy things and then we need to go to another shop and buy protection. That is not a democracy. And therefore, already in 1997, I suggested that one should reduce the public exposure. And here in Spain, you should, if we talk about mobile phone irradiation, you should take 9 million microwatts per square meter. That's the maximal exposure recommendation. But the natural background is down here. This is what your cells and molecules are accustomed to. And therefore I said, the only genuine hygienic safety value is this. And that means that we need to reduce the exposure in the order of 1 million billion times, 10 up to the power of 15 times. Then we are down to natural background, and then it's safe. Mobile phones and mobile telephony and wireless systems in general has been a very sweet piece of candy for Sweden, Finland, United States and so on. We have Ericsson, Nokia Consumer Electronics and Motorola, for instance. And we have gained an enormous income from that. Sweden is one of the richest countries in the world. We are sort of swimming in money. It's just terrible to say that, but that's the truth. There's only one country that is really richer, and that's Norway. They have more money to swim in. But, you know, when you eat candy, and you eat, and suddenly, not so good any longer, you know. You have eaten a little bit too much. And very early, and now it's time for you to train your Swedish. This is a debate article. In Sweden, we write in newspapers and tabloids and magazines and journals and so on. And this is from the largest tabloid, Aftonbladet, 1995. And I wrote an article saying, how dangerous are mobile phones? This is not me, this is me, you know. I saw all the women were looking sideways, I'm sorry for that. And I asked a few questions, and unfortunately they are not yet answered.
No quiero vivir en una sociedad en la que primero se compran cosas y luego se deben comprar cosas para protegerse de esas cosas que se han comprado primero. Eso no es democracia. En 1997, él dijo en un informe que se debía reducir la exposición pública a las ondas electromagnéticas. En España, por ejemplo, se debería reducir de 9 millones de microvatios que hay ahora a 0,00001 microvatio, o sea que una reducción muy importante. En Suecia hay empresas relacionadas con la telefonía móvil muy importantes como Ericsson, Motorola, etc. Suecia es uno de los países más ricos del mundo. De hecho, es el segundo país más rico del mundo. Antes está Noruega. Nadan en el dinero, nadan en piscinas de dinero, ¿sí? Es terrible tener que decir eso, pero es la verdad. Y ahora se sienten como quien ha comido muchos caramelos, muchos dulces y está saciado. Ha comido demasiado. Él escribe para periódicos, revistas, etc. Y ya en 1995 escribió un artículo en el que se preguntaba cuánto de peligroso podían ser los teléfonos móviles. En ese artículo él se hacía muchas preguntas que aún hoy en día, actualmente, en 2013, no se han podido responder.
I coined 1983, you were not even born then, I coined an expression that says the largest full-scale experiment ever, what happens when we, 24 hours around the clock, wherever we are, allow ourselves and our children to be used as guinea pigs, whole body irradiated for the rest of our lives. These electromagnetic signals are everywhere. They penetrate anything. And you know, Swedes are very boring. They are dull and they repeat themselves often. And I have repeated myself year after year after year after year after year after year after. And now we are here. And still, very little is actually done by people in responsibility and power. And we are not. The persons that are responsible for this is always governments and parliaments and health agencies. And they do very little. I will show a few examples where people actually have done something. 1994, in Sweden, if you really loved your family, then you should buy the Christmas gift of the year, which was this one. And maybe this was a very stupid and dangerous Christmas gift. And maybe mankind will have to pay for this. And not only mankind, all biological systems are at jeopardy. All animals, all plants, all bacteria and so on are affected by this.
Sí. En 1983 él se preguntaba ¿qué pasaría si exponemos a nuestros hijos, a los niños, como si fueran conejillos de indias, a tener el cuerpo expuesto a radiación durante las 24 horas del día? De hecho, empezó a preguntárselo en 1983 y se lo ha ido preguntando cada año sin obtener ninguna respuesta hasta la actualidad. ¿Quién es el responsable de esto? Nosotros no, sino el gobierno. Otra anécdota es que en 1994 aparecía en una revista sueca un anuncio en el que se decía que si queremos a nuestros hijos lo que debemos regalarles es un teléfono móvil.
Probably, if we should look around on all the effects that have been published in scientific papers, and trust me, we are talking about tens of thousands of papers. There's an enormous amount of information, and probably the most dangerous effect is the DNA fragmentation. Such fragmentation shown by Henry Lai and Narendra Singh, 1996, single and double strand DNA breaks in rat brain cells after exposure to mobile telephony. Such fragmentation can cause loss of fertility, impairment of the immune system, debilitation of the cancer defense, and could predict genetic damage to future generations. When Lai and Singh published their data, a number of other scientists replicated their studies and found the same results. Then the telecom industry got, and I'm sorry for the English, they got pissed, they got angry and said, no, they are wrong. There is no effect on the DNA, and Lai and Singh are just amateurs. They have not done this correctly. So the telecom industry took 100 million euros and gave to 12 laboratories in 7 European countries that should replicate in a very controlled way the studies on DNA. And so they did. They worked very, very hard. And when the code, the blind code, was broken, unfortunately these laboratories had shown that Lai and Singh were right. Do you believe me when I say that the telecom industry went to bizarre measures trying to stop the publication of this study? They did everything they could to stop it, but they couldn't. It is in the public domain and it's called the reflex study. And I just show you one picture from it. When you destroy DNA, you get small fragments. And when they move in an electrophoretic field, they will leave a tail of small pieces. This is DNA which is undamaged. This is DNA which has been subjected to 1,600 chest X-rays. And then you see this tail, and it's called the comet assay. It's like a comet on the sky with a tail. No patients in Sweden has got 1,600 chest X-rays. But this is the way it looks. And it looks the same after 24 hours of mobile phone irradiation at a so-called SAR level, specific absorption rate, of 1.3 watts per kilogram, and you are supposed to withstand 2 watts per kilogram. So in your body right now, you have these. We could be dead sure about that. And finally, the same line seeing has also shown that this is a cumulative effect. The more irradiation, the more damage. And I will go back to the previous slide and just remind you of very few customers use their mobile phone only for 24 hours in their whole life. They use it every time, every day, and they also have these iPads, wireless routers, computers, etc. And they are constantly exposed. And the question is this safe or not?
Ok, habla de los efectos de esta radiación. Hay mucha información publicada sobre los efectos, muchísima. Uno de los efectos es la desfragmentación del ADN, que se ha demostrado que provoca pérdida de fertilidad, disfunciones, cáncer, etc. Se hizo un informe en el que se probaba todo esto. Pero ¿qué pasó? Las compañías de telecomunicación, que son muy poderosas, cuando se hizo este informe se mostraron muy contrarias a él. Dijeron que estaba equivocado, que no era cierto y que era totalmente incorrecto. ¿Y qué es lo que hicieron? Aportaron, como tienen dinero, aportaron 100 millones de euros a 7 países, laboratorios de estos países, para que hiciera un informe que replicara al primero y que dijera totalmente lo contrario. Trabajaron muy duro para poder hacerlo, pero lo que pasó es que los laboratorios que contrataron, por más esfuerzo que pusieron, comprobaron que pasaba exactamente lo mismo. El ADN se desfragmentaba y quedaba convertido en piezas muy pequeñas, que tienen los efectos que ya he mencionado. Las empresas de telecomunicaciones intentaron que este informe no se publicara. Este informe se llama Reflex Study, informe Reflex. Demuestra que rompe el ADN, la radiación rompe el ADN en diferentes fragmentos. Esto es lo que hace la radiación. Y empieza una persona expuesta a la radiación de un teléfono móvil, después de 24 horas su ADN ya se ha desfragmentado. O sea que ahora mismo nosotros tenemos, como hemos visto, tenemos nuestro ADN desfragmentado, tal como hemos visto en las fotos de la diapositiva, ya que estamos expuestos a radiaciones. Cuanto más radiación, peor. O sea, el número importa en este caso.